Hello, today I thought I'd try and pick my Weiser SmartKey lock-on camera. So just in case anybody's not familiar with this, it's an interesting locking mechanism where the key, the lock can be rekeyed using a probe into this little slot beside the keyway. It's a quickset type keyway. So if it's being rekeyed, you can put in the working key and you can rotate it 90 degrees and you can then depress the carriage mechanism inside the lock, and you can take out the key and insert a new key and it'll be rekeyed to that new key. Now, because of the mechanism inside, it's an interesting pick. So inside there's sliders and a sidebar, and the sliders engage with the key pins. Each key pin has a little tongue that engages with teeth on the slider, so that when the carriage is moved by the probe, the sliders are disengaged from the key pins, and then a new key can be put in and the sliders will then re-engage with the key pins at the new levels. So hopefully I'll take this apart and show a little bit more detail about how that works. But first let's try and get this picked. Okay, so I have this mounted up in the vise. It's working as it should. Now, this lock has given me quite a bit of a challenge, and I tried a couple times to film picking it clockwise, but each time I seem to have issues of trying to set one slider, and when I do that, a couple others drop, and then I tend to bounce back and forth between sliders and not make any real headway. So I'm going to try picking it counterclockwise here. Seems to be working a little bit better for me, and we'll see how it goes. I'm using a top of the keyway tension wrench in 50 thousandths, and I'll start off with a deforced diamond pick. Go to the back. Alright, got one level out of pin 5. Now each of these sliders, they have some false gates and a true gate. So when they're in a true gate, there's quite a bit of movement, and when they're in a false gate, the movement is restricted. So that's what I'm doing here, is just trying to feel with the tip of the pick how much movement there is, and if the pin is set or if it needs to be moved up. So just a slight movement on the core there. I'm going to switch to a medium hook here and try and deal with pins 1 and 2. I'll just check the pins in the back. Pin 5 seems to have dropped, so go back to pin 5 here. Okay, now it's nice and springy. So pin 2, pin 1. Let's try setting pin 1 here. Pin 1 again. pin 1 again. And we have an open. Alright, so let's see if I can get this gutted. I'll get the vise out of the way. Got a pinning tray here. See if we can get this in focus. Alright. So we have a spring clip here. Just using my tension wrench to pull this off because I forgot to bring a screwdriver in here. Okay, so I pulled the back of the clip on the back of the plug off, as well as the spring clip that holds this whole core in there. So pull this out and we just have an empty housing, and the main guts are inside of here, the locking mechanism as well as all the sliders. So you see the sidebar in the side, and then down here we have 5 sliders. So if we just pull this out, there's a ball bearing there that will just pop out there. I'll hold my finger on the top so the springs don't come out, and the slider. So first off, we'll pull this plastic bit out and we can pull out the springs. And so this is the carriage mechanism that the probe pushes on the side. It has the sidebar in there. When everything is set to the right level, it allows the carriage to be pushed forward. And then at this point, the key pins are disengaged from the sliders and they can be reset. So I'm just going to pull this sidebar out. 2 springs in there, and here I'll just pull this carriage out. So here we have all the 5 sliders in here. I'll pull them out. It's an interesting mechanism and definitely makes for an interesting pick. Okay, and now I'll just pull out the key pins. So all the sliders and the key pins are all the same. Doesn't really matter which order they go in. Okay, so I'll try and come in here for a bit of a close-up. Alright, so what we have here, you can see the sliders on the, if we look at this one in slot 2 here, I can see on the outside, this would be the space that engages with the sidebar, and we can see a true gate just in the middle there, and then it's got some ribs here which are the false gates. And then on the inside we have the teeth that the key pins engage with. So we can see that on this key pin there's a little tongue there just on the right side of this key pin. That's what engages with these teeth, and so we get the different levels according to different key bitting. On the bottom we can see this bigger indent, and that's what allows the carriage to move forward. So if the sliders aren't in the correct position for the log to open, you can't move the carriage along and disengage the key pins because those grooves won't align with these tabs. Now earlier on I thought it might be a possibility to tension this lock by pushing on the carriage, but the carriage can only be moved when the lock is rotated, so it already has to be in the unlocked position for the carriage to be pushed forward. Anyways, that's my Weiser SmartKey lock, picked and gutted. Cheers!